Hi, this is Quinlan, and in this video, I'd like to share how to cook and eat two of my favorite wild vegetables that you can forage for here in Japan. Yesterday, I went to some of my favorite spots in Hanamaki. When the season is right, kokomi just explode everywhere. It's a really common type of fern. These are all too grown out to eat, but they're just everywhere. Look at this. It's hiding behind all this stuff, but these are some pretty perfect ones right here. I was able to get a fair amount of kokomi, or fiddleheads in English, as well as some koshi abura. Now, koshi abura doesn't have a really long Latin name in English, so I'm just going to call it the Japanese name, koshi abura. These are perfect, huge, and delicious. Look at this. Oh, I lucked out here. Suffice it to say, both of these vegetables are incredibly healthy, and you'll be an immortal Superman if you eat these regularly. Trust me. What I'm gonna make today with the fiddleheads is a stir fry, basically, with garlic and olive oil. With the fiddleheads, you need to wash them first, get some of the brown stuff, the mountain, the grit, and the furry stuff off them. Look at all this that came off the fiddleheads. Well, I'm not like a perfectionist about it because it's not gonna kill you. Just do it 2 or 3 times and then call it clean. Next, we're gonna chop the garlic. So, just gonna break this up so the skin comes off easy. And I'm just gonna thinly slice this garlic, ready to start cooking, because that's literally all you have to do for this recipe. Turn on the stove, add some olive oil, probably good enough. As you can imagine, this already smells amazing. I'm just gonna let the garlic get a little bit crispy. Add in add some salt. As you can see, the color starts to change a little bit. The green starts to lighten up a little bit. And here's the finished product. Not too bad, huh? And just like that, it's done. It doesn't matter if you can cook or not. All you've got to do is pick some fiddleheads, which are in, I believe, all over the world, right? They have them in North America, also in Europe, I believe, here in Japan. And stir fry them with a little bit of garlic and olive oil, and bam! You've got a rather healthy, incredibly delicious meal. So let's try it. Fiddleheads don't have a really strong flavor. There's a subtle bitterness to them, but it's not that strong. So when you've got olive oil, garlic, salt, and pepper, it just matches perfectly. Time to eat a little bit more of this before I get into cooking the next dish. So now it's time for the second and more intricate recipe, koshi abura gyoza. So again, this is koshi abura right here. And to make this gyoza, I'm gonna use the following ingredients. I've got some ginger, some bok choy or Chinese cabbage. In Japanese, this is called hakusai. I've got some ground pork. The gyoza skins, if you're really ambitious, you can make these by hand, but I'm not that ambitious today. So you can buy these in any grocery store in Japan, and I think even in Asian supermarkets in the States, you can get these pretty easily. Then also some soy sauce. And this is sake, Japanese sake for cooking. Let's get going. When you pick koshi abura, it generally has this part still attached to it, and that doesn't taste like anything. And so the first thing to do is just to go through all the koshi abura and peel off this little leafy part at the base of it and get rid of it. You don't need to eat that. And so before I even wash it, I'm just gonna peel all these off. Here it is. So I'm just gonna rinse this off, and then we're going to chop it up and get going. I found a recipe online that suggested that you boil this for just 30 seconds, so I'm doing that just to soften it and hopefully improve the flavor. Now I've lightly boiled the koshi abura and I'm going to chop it up. You can see here's the part that I'm not gonna use. And then because we're gonna put this into gyoza, I'm just gonna try and cut this as small as I can because I'm gonna be mixing this with ground meat. So I'm just making this as like you're chopping onions or something. There you can see the finished product. So now I'm gonna put it all together here. So I'm just putting the ground meat in a bowl. I'm gonna put the freshly chopped koshi abura that I have boiled for about 30 seconds. We've also got the similarly chopped
hakusai, or Chinese cabbage. But I also, to be honest, boiled this really lightly too, because I was told that it just absorbs the flavor better. But I think you could put it in there raw as well. Just gonna mix this with a spoon really lightly first. Normally you would just mix this with your hands, but then I won't be able to touch my camera. Since I'm using about 200 grams of meat, the appropriate amount, according to this recipe I found on the internet, is about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Just gonna put in here. 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, which I'm adding here. And another 2 tablespoons of sake. There it is. And I actually already put in 30 grams of ginger. And I'm gonna mix all this up again. This brings us to the most fun part, at least in my opinion, of making gyoza, which is where you actually put the meat onto the skins and fold them up. If you're making a bunch of gyoza, it's a lot more fun to do with friends. Usually it's fun when you've got like 4 or 5 people together, and then you can have like a whole assembly line going. So take one of these, take modest amount of filling, put it in the center, wet down the edges, and bam. And here you go. Maybe it's not the most beautiful or elegant, but it will do. It will do. And there it is, all of them made and ready to start cooking. I cook gyoza in a hot plate. You can do it in a frying pan. It's just easier to film if I do it on a hot plate. So I'm just going to now line up the gyoza like this. The hottest part of the hot plate is in the center, so I sort of mash them together a little bit. And you can see there's starting to get a nice color on the bottom of them here. And so I'm gonna add the water and cover it now. You just pour water over it and cover it. Hope I'm not totally screwing this up. Okay, let's see how they're doing. Ooh, looks pretty good. And yeah, looks good on this side here. They are nice, and they have that, in Japanese you say kogeme. And you can see I'm great with a spatula. I'm just so slick here. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is that these look good. Look at this. Looks like they're cooked all the way through. They're nice and brown. These should be ready to eat. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Koshiabura gyoza. When you eat gyoza, usually you dip it in a mix of soy sauce and vinegar. So I am putting a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of vinegar. So let's see how this is. The main thing first is to see, is the meat cooked all the way through? Because I don't want to be eating it if it's raw meat. So I'm gonna do something I don't normally do and just sort of break it open with my chopsticks as opposed to stick it directly in my mouth. Yeah, meat is definitely cooked. Now I've made a mess of this. Hot. The flavor of the koshiabura really comes out. If you just gave these to someone unsuspectingly, they wouldn't just be like, oh, gyoza, thanks. They'd be like, wow, what is this? That is fantastic. The koshiabura mixed with the vinegar and the soy sauce is interesting. I actually might want to try eating these without the normal gyoza sauce. I think the koshiabura has a strong enough flavor that you can just probably eat it without dipping it in the normal gyoza sauce. I'm gonna try that next. When you make gyoza with koshiabura and meat and ginger, like I did this time, there's already a little bit of salt in here and soy sauce, because I put soy sauce and salt in the meat and sesame oil. And so it's already actually pretty flavored. And if you just want to appreciate the taste of the koshiabura, I don't think you need any dipping sauce for this. This is perfect just as it is. By the way, if you haven't made gyoza before, you can always make this with normal ingredients, just with cabbage and pork, with garlic, with ginger, and things like that. There's a billion recipes online. And if you can get the ingredients where you are, it's a lot of fun to make gyoza. And if you've got all day and lots of friends, you can even, like making tortillas, you can make the skins, the shells for the gyoza as well, as opposed to just buying them. I love gyoza. It feels really odd to be eating them alone because I really associate this as a party food, and I'm used to having like 3 or 4 people with me when I'm eating them, but not complaining. This is pretty good.
So this has been 2 different recipes with 2 of my favorite easy to forage, relatively easy to prepare wild vegetables, koshiabara and fiddleheads. I hope you get a chance to sometime try eating these for yourself so you don't have to imagine the flavor, especially fiddleheads, which you can probably get where you are as well, are easy and healthy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the trails.
最高だ、最高。最高級品。